What makes an ugly person attractive? The mermaid theory. Spend enough time with someone. Eventually they become attractive. I'm one of these people. A solid 6, but the longer you hang out with me the sexier I get. I'm still a 6, but I'm a sexy 6. So true. If a girl sticks around long enough in my life and is always there for me, I will eventually find them attractive. Every crush I've developed has been from a relationship like this and not love at first sight or whatever. Edit. Kinda late edit, but I feel like it's important to add this. My message doesn't mean you should be nice to someone that is toxic or doesn't care, hoping that they eventually will wake up one day and fall in love with you. These start as great friendship where there's mutual respect, effort, and all it takes is time to come around to the idea of dating them. Don't settle for less. This is actually based on real-world science known as the mere exposure effect. It basically just postulates that the more you're exposed to something, the more you're likely to grow attached. For example, that song on the radio that you just can't stand hearing, but it comes up everywhere until a few weeks or a month down the line you're listening to it willingly and even choosing to play it. I believe this is part of my problem. It is so hard to meet people. So I've resorted to trying the online route recently, again. The problem is I'm one of the most average looking guys possible. Which doesn't help with online, because how do you make an impression in the 2 minutes someone might take to look over your profile? I keep re-evaluating my profile, doing touch-ups, adding pictures, or trying to make my bio more interesting. But it's really difficult. There's obviously an art to this that I don't quite get. I wouldn't call them ugly, but I've fallen for women that were not my type at all because they turned out to be funny, smart, or kind. So those things for me. That's basically what I call the comfort triad. I am someone who has social anxiety. So finding someone I can be comfortable with takes time and doesn't work out for most people. I'm not really socially normal. Or rather socially regular. Whatever. So with one of my past friends, I never been more attracted to someone else because I felt comfortable talking with her. People who fall in love will often say that knowing when they are in love is when they feel comfortable. That they'll feel accepted and cared for despite whatever faux pas they commit. No one likes walking on eggshells. But knowing someone's got your back through thick and thin is a sign of the truest love that can exist. Friend or lover. A great sense of humor. Especially dark humor for me. A kind heart. When I met my friend's brother, I thought he was okay looking. At best. We added each other on FB and got talking. Mainly banter, sharing memes. One night I was home alone, which I hate. Always have, and he stayed up really late with me and made a joke that he was in the back garden in a tent making sure I was safe. Other silly stuff like that. The next time I saw him he was super lovely as well as being funny too. We ended up having a small fling. I told him I didn't wanna date fully, so we just took the FWB option. But the way he carries himself with the small gestures, letting a light go red so an old lady can cross the road with plenty of time when he didn't have to. Pulling up in the car and moving a bin from the middle of the road. Again when he didn't have to, just made me fall head over heels with him. Almost 1 year later we live together and honestly, nobody comes close to this man. I love everything about the way he looks. Especially the dad bod. A person who has good thoughts cannot ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose and a crooked mouth and a double chin and stick out teeth. But if you have good thoughts it will shine out of your face like sunbeams and you will always look lovely. Double quote. Roald Dahl. The twits. I read that line as a kid. And I have found it astonishingly true. As much as I can admire someone physically, I'm human after all. The people I find beautiful always want to be thinking good thoughts. People whose default is a warm, honest smile that keeps the shadows at bay. Pack of utter bastards if you ask me. Confidence. PS. I don't think people are ugly. Maybe unattractive. What's attractive to one person might not be attractive to another person. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It might sound cheesy but it's true. A connection. Authenticity goes a long way. And someone that you connect with that is just being themselves. That's very attractive. This. I love the feeling of connection and the bond you can have with your soul that grows stronger the more you're there for each other. It also makes sex more intimate and loving. Cloud 9 in other words. I miss that high TBH. I've known several people that aren't especially attractive or my type, but they somehow just do sensuality to the point that I can't get them out of my head. It's gotta be subconscious somehow because they are by no means overt about it. This is how I feel sometimes about people. Like they don't look that attractive but there's like some kind of thing that makes them more attractive. Not sure what, lol, maybe it's the way they carry themselves, IDK. It depends sometimes. Personally, I think there's an attractive quality about everyone, even if it's one thing. Either it's a trait, silly habit, or characteristic. I think it is super sexy if someone has a passion they can talk about. Especially if it's something you don't hear about often. Like this one guy on YouTube who ordered flags from every embassy in the world. Things like that make someone super attractive to me. Even if it's a passion I don't really care about or know much about. Yeah. Seriously this. My husband is super into electronics. I'm definitely not. But watching him mess around with a project or talk excitedly about it makes me so happy and so proud. It's such an attractive feature and I love it. Conventionally unattractive people are immediately attractive when they have a good heart, and vice versa. If they're constantly dwelling in self-pity and self-hatred, it's way less attractive than their actual looks. It's hard to be around those types of vibes. By accepting that you're ugly by society's standards and that there's nothing you can do about it, you become happier. I like to surround myself with people who love themselves first. No matter what they look like. This is easier said than done. But it makes a massive difference. People who are jealous, revengeful are unattractive. Period. I don't care what society thinks about your looks. Being obsessive over your friends so isn't cute nor quirky. Nor is trying to get back at the people who you are jealous of or who have hurt you. Attractiveness, in my eyes, is just a measurement of character. That doesn't mean I'll be romantically pulled to everyone attractive. But that in itself is not an indicator of attractiveness. Just of personal preference. Confidence. I've known people so confident I second guessed my own ability to judge attractiveness. And they definitely grew more attractive over time. I knew one guy in particular like this. And he always had women around him falling for him. Etc. After a year or two I just thought maybe I don't know what people find traditionally attractive. I guessed I saw him in a weird unflattering light when we first met, so a bad first impression or something. And shrugged it off. Then out of nowhere a mutual friend of ours, and I'm paraphrasing because it was said politely, was like, okay. Seriously? How does he always get so many girls? What is it about him? He's kinda short and bald and works part-time for himself and barely ekes by. Like, what is the deal? And I just laughed and laughed. That dude was confident and very fun to be around. I think because he took nothing personally and just lived to enjoy life. Close bracket. I find myself attracted to a lot of women that I think other guys find unattractive. I believe everyone is found to be attractive by someone. So what's it take? The right person looking at them. Manners, empathy, and a positive get it done attitude. I dated a guy a long time ago who I still consider potentially the one who got away. My friends poked a little fun at me because they said he was a troll, and he kind of was. He was big and furry and had a scraggly beard and bad hair and dressed shabby. But he was very well mannered and wheeled down. He was incredibly kind, compassionate, and funny, and he was completely unflappable and 100% positive. I remember running out of gas with him in the middle of nowhere, Washington. No bars on the phone. No cars in sight. He was like, okay. Let's figure this out. No panic. No accusations. No freak out. No negativity. Just okay. Let's figure it out. We were on our way within 45 minutes and it wasn't even stressful. I broke out my violin. He busted out a bottle of wine. And we just waited to hail a farmer. He was a total keeper. Found out through FB he actually just got married. Good for both of them. I'm currently pursuing someone who is not by any means conventionally attractive. I'm a girl. He's a dude. He's pretty gruff. Extremely heavily tattooed. The works. But holy shit. He's so smart like no one else I've ever met. Hilarious. And the most genuinely kind soul I've ever run into. And he is so freaking cool. Like way too cool for me. I've wanted to mount him every time I've seen him for weeks. So. That. The beholder. Obviously. If it's an ugly man, money. If it's an ugly woman, boobs. I'm not a conventionally attractive person, but I draw them. Ooh. You know. Them. In with kindness and humor. I also give f-king awesome hugs. Married for 30 years to a guy who is not. Or was not. My physical ideal. But he's kind and intelligent and we have very similar senses of humor. And he's got the best smile, and when he looks at me as though I were the only good thing in the world, I melt. He's a great hugger. And cares deeply about his friends. He's generous and thoughtful. Okay. You get the idea. Character creates beauty. And it doesn't matter what physical attributes it starts with. Putting effort into their appearance. I have seen really plain people go from looking average to being really hot if they know how to dress and apply makeup correctly. And if they look like they take the time and effort to between him and well groomed. I have turned down very attractive people who had weird hygiene. And I have dated people who were blowout average because they put in an effort and smelled nice. But also, I date people who make me happy. People who share the same interests as me. Who are loyal and kind and funny and pleasant to be around. People who like animals and are kind and generous and hardworking. At the end of the day, as long as I find the whole package attractive, you can be way below average and I could be more in love and more attracted to you than someone who the model I have nothing in common with. Being fit. If your face is busted, I recommend getting in shape. You can't trick people into thinking you're attractive. A quick wit. A good sense of humor. And 3 beers. So that last part was a joke. Anyway. Looks really only matters about 10-15% after you meet someone. Attractiveness comes from how you make a person feel while you're around them. If you're a bore or exhausting, nobody likes to hang out near you. If you're legit funny or entertaining, people want to hang out around you more. Romantic sexual attraction works this way, but it's a lot more picky. But if you have a lot of people who enjoy your company, that's a bigger pool of people from which someone who's attracted romantically can randomly show up. Long story short, learn how to be funny or otherwise entertaining. Fun to be around. That's how to be attractive. A beautiful voice. I can't believe this is so far down. Like, most people wouldn't look at Alan Rickman twice. But then he opens his beautiful damn mouth and a generation of teenagers develops daddy professor issues. Course. If you then add looks to that, you get someone just inhumanly attractive. Pretty sure Henry Cavill transcends gender preferences for 90% of the population. For me, talent. Especially if it's related to music. Like, take a regular looking person. They start playing the piano or guitar or sing, and if they are good, they're immediately more attractive. Work ethic. Hygiene. Presentation. Ugly people who take care of themselves, work hard and dress nice are leagues more attractive than attractive people who don't take care of themselves and have no hope for their future. Integrity and good hygiene. I can feel the meter flip almost every time. I'm married. But one of my husband's friends is absolutely adorable. Without being super conventionally attractive. There's a couple little details that he remembers about my job, and he gave me a super sincere compliment the other day when I was feeling pretty out of place at a party. His GF is a very lucky lady. The way they carry themselves. I've had interest in men who aren't necessarily my type, but the way they carry themselves stands out from the rest, so I would pick him over my type any day. Common interests. Can talk passionately about a certain subject. Has a cool friend group. Being funny and being confident in your skin if they are not the size they want to be or don't have the face they might have wanted. They're not cripplingly insecure. And they are not afraid to be happy and to laugh and enjoy themselves. Being kind and good without being blandly wholesome. Being calm, lack of a temper. Probably stems from the fact that my father verbally abused me growing up. I had to walk on eggshells around him. Personality as a whole. Ugly people are fine. I don't care if they're ugly. I care if you have wit. Or some other noticeable trait that makes you different from other people. Diversity and oddities. Kindness and benevolence. Dark humor. Or any type of humor. All of those are parts of personality that I enjoy. As long as someone isn't malevolent. Or has an inherently terrible personality, in which case most people don't. Handsome is as handsome does. I think once we form an opinion on someone's character, our brain changes how we see their outsides to fit what we know about their insides. If someone is consistently kind, not a suck up or doormat, just a good person, I'll stop seeing their bad teeth or frizzy hair and start noticing the particular color of their eyes or the beautiful veins in their hands. If someone is good looking but mean, I'll start to notice how their frown lines distort their face or their bad mopey posture. Basically, we associate their features with good feelings or bad feelings. Their personality. If they're funny. The way they treat other people. If I'm happy laughing a lot when I'm with them. If they're genuinely a nice person. Also if they have a nice smile. Doesn't have to be pretty but more cute and infectious. The person was never ugly. You just had the ugliness of negativity on the lens of your mind's eye. Remove the negativity from your thoughts and allow the beauty of the world to shine into you. This one girl once totally took my breath away with her amazing singing voice. I mean, we all know girls who can sing. But with her, it was different. Her voice was somehow so authentic and passionate. Even though I wouldn't have usually called her very attractive to me. In that moment, I was enchanted by her. I'm friends with someone who isn't the classic definition of attractive. But they look nice enough, if that makes sense. I never saw them as anything more than a friend until I started spending more time with them. I started finding them attractive because of how smart, kind, selfless, spontaneous, and funny they were. They've gone out of their way so many times to make sure I'm happy and safe. And it makes me feel cared for. They always know what snacks to get me. Even if I don't ask for anything. I never told them that I love salt and vinegar chips. But they got a bag of it for me and said that it seemed like something I'd like. I also tend to find people more attractive if I feel safe with them and trust them wholeheartedly. And that's exactly how I feel about my friend. Being funny. I shared a room on a school trip with a girl I never gave any thought to. She was the funniest person I'd ever met. I instantly saw how pretty she was. And never could unsee it. It wasn't a crush or anything. Just appreciation of humans. If a guy has a really healthy dark sense of humor, I immediately like him. I'd rather have someone that's fun to be with than fun to look at. My ex-husband wasn't a very attractive man. But every time I saw him I'd get butterflies in my stomach.